Snap Fitness in Grand Island offers 24-hour access, free weights, strength training machines, cardio equipment, nutrition plans, and personal trainers. They'll work with you to help you reach the goals you have in mind. Located at 217 East Dolly Park Road in GI.
Welcome to In the Hoop. I'm George Ayub along with Bobby Mills, the 1,000-yard guy. Elisa Reitz behind the camera. We are going to talk some high school basketball as we are edging towards the end of the regular season. People are starting to think about districts. In fact, I saw Stu Popsicle had some district matchups as he projects coming up in just a few weeks. So
it's getting down to crunch time.
It's getting down to crunch time, and there's some big games at the end of the year. Let's talk about boys basketball first, Bobby. You saw both the Islander games this weekend, and of course the heartbreaking loss to Kearney, 44-43. And I was at the game. I saw that as well, and it was just it was interesting. I was just there as a spectator. I hadn't seen a basketball game without working one for a while.
Right.
I don't think the Islanders got complacent. But there seemed to be, I mean, I as I told you, I was going to watch, I was trying to get somewhere by 9 o'clock, and I went down and watched the last part of the game from the doorway because I thought the Islanders had it in hand.
I did too, when they went up by 5, as we said. I thought they had it. I can't pinpoint what the deal is sometimes. They do lead a lot of times.
They do.
Even when we've done games, they have it in hand, and I don't know what happens.
Yeah. Well, Damian Austin certainly had a great fourth quarter, and he's very quick, and the big shot, obviously he hit the drive and the free throw to put him ahead and win it, but the 3-pointer with a hand in his face from about 21 feet.
I know
that was
NBA.
A tough shot.
Yes.
That was a tough shot.
And NBA.
Yeah. So that's a tough loss. Now the next night, the Islanders, Omaha North, come in with the 6'10" kid. They played the zone, and Grand Island couldn't shoot the ball very well.
No, they couldn't. It was hard to tell whether it was a 3-2 or a 2-3. Sometimes in those 2-3 zones, a guy will pop up on either side and make it look like a 3-2. But they had that game in hand also. And then, boy, North changed some things and really took over. But in that height, you have that height in there, it's just tough.
Yeah, it's tough. And the inside-out game works, but you got to put the ball in the basket.
Oh yeah,
4 for 21 from 3-point land, and this is not going to get it done, which is unusual because they're a good 3-point shooting team. It's not just Pierce Allman. I mean, they have several other kids that Shuck and Wachowski who did hit some good 3-point shooters. So tough weekend for the purple and gold.
I know. They always say that it's fool's gold, but boy, when they fall, it's pretty.
Yeah, it's very nice. So the Islanders have Lincoln East and Lincoln Northeast this week. East, they'll play, actually, just Lincoln East this week, I guess. Northeast is next week. East is a nice team. 10-8. They've had some good wins, so that'll be a test for the Islanders, and they'll be at Lincoln then. So the Vikings, the boys from Northwest, really had a tough quarter.
Boy, they did.
Tied at 22 and outscored 17-0 in the fourth quarter. That's against the Schuyler team that beat them 39-22. And we saw Schuyler beat them 42-36 at Northwest. Another game that Northwest really, I thought they could have won that ball game.
I did, but somebody reminded me yesterday, I was out and around in the mall, that Northwest, do you remember how long they went without a field goal in that Schuyler game? It was most of the third quarter.
Right.
Surfaced again. I know Schuyler's a quick team, but boy, you don't want to see those goose eggs on there, especially when you're tied.
That was tough. We will be broadcasting the Crete game from Northwest tomorrow night. You'll be doing the PA announcing, but I'll be there. And Crete 3-11. On paper, Northwest should win that ball game, but they still have to put the ball in the basket.
That's true. Yep. I don't know anything about Crete's height, but they put together good halves. Let's have two good ones.
Yeah. And I think once they find that, I think Coach Rathie's going to praise the Lord, fall to his knees, because that could be a really dangerous team if they put together two good halves of basketball. There's some nice players on that.
And a favorable district.
And they have a favorable district and big kids. So we'll see what happens. Central Catholic goes to the Centennial Conference, and whoa, a couple slaps upside the head. They lose to Bergen, C2 Bergen, who's been number one most of the season, 68-32, and then come back C1 number one, Bishop Newman, 72-29. That's a beatdown.
It is, yeah.
They're missing Johanna, I think.
And against Newman, Eli Hunter couldn't play. So I do their stats, so I have to watch the film. So 2 minutes into the first quarter at Newman, there were 4 of my son's reserves on that floor. So basically Newman beat a reserve team.
Right.
So I hope that, things will be back to normal when they go to Lexington this week, because Lexington is a very athletic team too.
Right.
It's hard to keep kids mentally right when you get beat down like that.
That's the thing,
man.
And and as you say, I'm sure Coach Martinez is selling that idea.
He
to them.
is.
This was unusual. We have kids that are hurt. We have kids that aren't playing. And of course the trick will be when they get back to full strength, and they will before the season's over.
They will.
To get that rhythm and chemistry back together.
And it may take this weekend, and they'll have to be ready for Wahoo Saturday.
Right. So Lexington Friday, and then we will be broadcasting.
Can't wait for that.
You and I will be broadcasting Wahoo Central Catholic, and that will be a barn burner. 16-2 Wahoo. It'll at Central Catholic. That'll be a great game. We'll be there on the air about 7:15. Then Heartland Lutheran. They were in the Goldenrod Conference, and they lost to Burwell back on the 21st.
They have a long
and
layoff.
It's a long layoff. So I'm interested to see how Coach Wagner. I'm sure they have to be scrimmaging. I mean, to keep him in somewhat game shape.
Yeah, they are. He came over and watched a Central Catholic practice with these kids, I guess, and then went back, and they've really been working on defense. So it'll be interesting with this long layoff how he's implemented those ideas. They could be a dangerous team because they have a favorable sub-district also.
They do, and they have a very favorable schedule starting with Palmer. That ball game will be on that's a Wednesday night, or a Thursday night game at Palmer, who's 7-9, and so on paper the 9-5 Heartland Lutheran Red Hornets could win that one. Then I look down on the Fullerton 5-7, Elkhorn Valley 1-17. Blue Hill, a C2 team, is 9-7. Burwell 11-6. Nebraska Lutheran 7-6. So they could win 3 or 4 of those games on paper. They could win them all. You never know.
And they've got a tough stretch. Don't they have this all crammed into?
All crammed in together. So they have the long layoff and then a whole bunch of games right away.
That's a tough thing.
That's a tough thing to go. So we'll see. Those kids are going to need to be in shape. We're going to be back after the break. And a word from our sponsor, SMAT Fitness, and we'll talk about girls basketball. And we have a peak performer. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
What's the most centrally located gym in Grand Island? Try Snap Fitness, a 24/7 gym that's loaded with state-of-the-art equipment from Cybex for both strength and cardio. Located at 217 East Dolly Park Road in Grand Island.
Welcome back to In the Hoop. George A. with my buddy Bobby Mills, the 1,000-yard guy. We're going to talk a little bit high school hoops on the girls' side. The Islanders are in a 5-game losing streak. They've played some tough teams. They're going to head this week to play Lincoln East, a 7-11 team in Lincoln. They have a shot at that one. If we've noticed with the Islanders, they play really hard. They're young. I think that they started some up-tempo offense about mid-season, and so things have changed. But the kids are playing hard for Coach Michael, first-year coach and head coach at senior high. So they're going to be playing Lincoln East. They lost to Kearney and to Omaha North. Kearney 51-35 North, closer 54-49. That was on Saturday night in Grand Island. Now the Northwest girls lose to a very good Holdridge team. Yeah. And we've seen Holdridge play, and they can shoot the three.
They sure can.
And that's kind of was the deciding factor in that loss, and that was in the Central Conference championship game.
They just can't get that elusive championship in that tournament.
Yeah, they can. They're state champions, but
they
can't.
Are. I think they'll take that over, but it still bothers them.
I did like Coach Erzberg's comment, though, that he understands the resiliency of this team and the mental toughness of these girls, these seniors that have been state champions in volleyball, state champions in basketball. So that I think that they're still in a good spot.
Oh, I think so.
Mike Patterson dropped him to 5th in his poll in Class B, and I thought that
in Class B.
Yeah,
oh
in Class
my goodness.
B. Yeah.
Whoa.
Behind Pius, Gretna, Norris, and Holdridge.
Wow, that'll make him.
So that'll give him a little incentive, I think. Take that.
That's right. But Katie and Mackenzie have to quit running into each other, so that doesn't ever.
Never helps. Interesting thing about the loss to Holdridge, they play Holdridge
Again,
Friday night at Holdridge. So back-to-back games with the Dusters. So that'll be a. I kind of wish I was going to be there to watch what was going to happen there, because Holdridge is a very good team. Rachel Jeldon.
Oh, isn't she something else?
She's a dandy, and so then they have a good Beatrice team that they have McCook and Aurora the rest of the year. But the game in Holdridge is going to be a great one for the Northwest Viking girls. Grand Island Central Catholic girls, up and down year, they're 7-11, but they got a great win against Bergen.
I couldn't believe that score.
And I mean, 58-15.
That's pretty good.
Talk about getting slapped in the side of the head.
Yep,
Goodness.
They
put a beat down on them.
Must have put it all together that night, because I don't know how good Fremont Bergen was, but
yeah, but they did a lot of things well there.
Yep,
they
did.
Obviously defended and scored the basketball. So they have Hastings St. Cecilia this week on Thursday, and then Lexington on Friday. St. Cecilia, of course, the C2 leaders at 14-3.
Yeah,
and so that'll be a tough game, and that'll be at Central Catholic. So then they finish with Wood River.
Who's got a nice team.
Nice team. So,
they really do.
Not easy road for the Crusaders. Heartland Lutheran girls lose to a good Spalding Academy, a team by a score that kind of surprised me, 53-30.
Yep.
I mean, I say it's a good team because I watched, but Spalding Academy is still 7-10. They've played a pretty tough schedule.
Yep.
But 53-30, I was surprised at that score.
I think Spalding Academy, excuse me, they play Norfolk Catholic, they play David City Aquinas, they play St. Francis. That toughens you up.
It really toughens you up. So 7-10 is their record, but come on, they've played some really tough teams. And of course, that was in the Golden Run Conference, and like their counterparts on the boys' side, the Heartland Lutheran girls have not played since January 20th.
Oh, that's a long time. It'll be interesting to see. And they don't have that many games left, do they, George? Maybe 4? 1, 2,
3, maybe 4, 5.
Okay.
And tough games. Nebraska Lutheran at 11-3, Palmer at 13-4.
Ooh.
We've seen Palmer play, and they are really tough. Fullerton 8-7, and then they have winless Elkhorn Valley and Burwell at 5-10. So they have 3 really tough games coming up. And the first of those is tomorrow night against Nebraska Lutheran. That will be at Heartland Lutheran. So they're coming up. They're really looking at district. Girls play is going to be winding up really fast as well. So our peak performer this week, Bobby, Kaylin Ostran from Nebraska Christian, 33 points. That's what you scored in your career, wasn't it?
That's about 30 maybe.
30. Okay. Good. In a win over Harvard, improved Nebraska Christian to 9-6. She did that last Friday. So we're going to get a certificate out to Kaylin Ostran from Nebraska Christian, our peak performer in this week's In the Hoop. Any thoughts before we close out of here?
No, districts coming up at the end of the month. It just seems like it's gone so fast. The girls are the second to the last week of this month, and then boys subs. Other than B&A are in the last week of February. It's just gone quick. Have you noticed, as well as I have, the youth movement in basketball? How many good freshmen and sophomores are playing? Girls, freshmen and sophomore play all the time, but boys.
Yeah.
St. Cecilia has a great youth movement over there. I just can't
really
believe all the good sophomores, especially.
Right.
Unbelievable.
St. Cecilia is a good example of that. Is these kids play together, and then they come up to high school, and they're still playing together as young kids. So that bodes well for St. Cecilia and all the teams that play young kids.
Do you think it maybe is the traveling teams that are doing this, that are creating these, or is it just these kids are playing together since they're in the middle of their?
I'm not sure, but I do like it when a coach recognizes that a player can help his or her team when they're young.
Yep.
They don't have to sit around and quote pay their dues.
Yep.
They can help right away. Let's get them in the ball game.
I think so.
And I also like how coaches sometimes use freshmen or even sophomores who haven't had a lot of time. They don't start them, but they get them in the lineup. They get them seasoned. So at the end of the season, as the saying goes, you're no longer a freshman. You've played the whole season.
Yep.
You're able to step into a starting role or at least play some big minutes.
Yeah, pay your dues on the hardwood, not on the bench. That I love coaches like that as well.
And they take a chance. So.
Yep.
All right, programming notes. Tomorrow night we're at Northwest for the boys versus Creighton. Saturday night, Bobby and I will be at Grand Island Central Catholic for Wahoo Grand Island Central Catholic, which would be one of the top games in the state that night. We hope you join us. And thanks for joining us on this edition of In the Hoop, brought to you by Snap Fitness. I got it. And we'll see you next Monday on In the Hoop.
Visit Snap Fitness in Grand Island for all of your workout needs. State-of-the-art equipment and personal trainers will help you reach the exercise and health goals you have in mind. Located at 217 East Stolly Park Road in Grand Island.